Camera. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday. Holy cats, it's been a long week already. Tonight, Rob Peters, the man who
Hey,
is doing more things during the week than most of us do in a month. I think that's it's a fair statement, I think, right now.
that actually is a very fair statement. First of all, John, thanks for having me on. It's always great to chat with you and share some information with the Disc Jockey News viewers. So I'm glad to be out here, and I'm actually really excited to talk about some how to make some money with some weekday wealth.
Yeah, make some money. That's a big thing that a lot of us when we're looking at those Saturdays and are all filled and we're like, oh wow, that means that I can't make any more money. Well, there are different things we can do, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
And the one thing I found, and it's with whatever concept you choose to go with, once you really get started doing weekday work, the pressure comes off when it comes to uh, being concerned about your Saturday being off. Because if you do 4 or 5 shows during the week, the last thing you want to do, and it takes a toll after a while. The last thing you really want to do is go out on Saturday night. You want that one night where you can be like, you know what, I'm gonna spend time with my family. So
Exactly, and
that's really cool. John, I'm just gonna make a quick little. There we go.
I was just gonna say, bring you down a little bit because I'm looking at it's like I'm higher on the screen and you're lower on the screen. So,
Well, I'm in a little box. It's like a postage stamp.
yeah. Well, mine is a bigger box, but this is about the only thing that's fit for viewing. The rest of it is
I know.
storage and totes and.
I know.
So let's jump right into it, Rob.
Dive right in. Let's go.
We've got our list of different things, and the first one I want to talk about is in the summer, there's ways you can make money off different aspects of the corporate world. Let's talk about a couple. What's your first idea?
My first big one is the alternatives to the holiday party. A lot of companies got away from doing holiday parties and are starting to look for something different because they want to foster participation. So there are a lot of companies out there. You kind of have to do your homework on this, but there are companies out there that do a weekday lunch where they'll bring in a catered lunch and they may use their grounds. They may bus them out to another area, and they do a summer picnic kind of party for their employees. We have a company up here in the Northeast. They're a clothing retailer, and they actually do this whole team building like hoedown. They put everybody on teams, and it's an Olympics that they actually put on. They hire us to do the walk-up music, to play music during lunch, to announce the different games and activities, and then we just shoot right. We run the whole thing for them. And it's such a great day because you're out there with them, and they really get into it. Like they have the entire IT department. To give you an idea, they dress up as nerds from Revenge of the Nerds, and they request walk-up music. Ergo, they want the song that the nerds used when they did the little skit thing in the movie.
Yeah.
With Poindexter and the violin. I mean, they really get into it, and there are companies that do that all the time because they want something different. And in the winter, and you can equate to this because we're both north of in the northern part of the country.
Yes.
A lot of holiday parties are impacted by the weather, especially in November and December. So this fosters participation. It gets everybody out there, and it's part of the workday. So they can really kind of make it a special time and still reward their employees. And I'm finding a lot of companies are doing it now.
I think you're seeing more of that because in the wintertime, with all the different aspects of what we have in the upper Midwest and in the Northeast, but I think you're also seeing that the Christmas parties aren't happening as much, the evening Christmas parties, because of the whole concern of alcohol and staff issues that way. We ended up doing, I think it was 2 years ago, we had like 4 or 5 afternoon during the week picnic events like this. Somewhere it was just me coming in and doing some trivia. Some of it was me doing the kind of the silly games like a themed game night. But it was just the getting there like an employee appreciation time, what have you. I mean, and one of them was kind of looked like a scene out of Workaholics. If you've ever watched that one, they wanted to have their
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, it was a fun evening and a fun afternoon actually. I was done by 6:30 and headed home. So it was week and they were early. It's like win-win.
It's a big win in that market if you have And I don't want, I don't want this to come across as you need to have it. But if you own game shows, um, I'm doing a lot of game show work up here in the Northeast because I'm marketing it.
Hmm.
Steve Harvey has a lot of a following right now, especially after that whole Miss Universe thing. But if you know what Steve Harvey does, he hosts and brings up the wrong contestant for the winner. But he's got a lot of notoriety as the host of Family Feud.
For
And
sure.
Family Feud, believe it or not, is still hot. And if you've got the Feud software from any of the companies that offer it, and you've got a game show podium and you're doing your marketing the right way, I mean, I'm doing, believe it or not, 2 or 3 of these a month at different companies that have us, and a lot of times they either have new employee training and they want to spice up a Thursday afternoon, or they're doing their corporate retreat and they want to have something to break the ice and get people involved. But you don't need to go that high tech. If you know anything about team building, if you've gone to any of the DJ shows and you've learned a game, a relay race, you can market that as team building. And you can go out there and you can actually do team building with corporate to bring in some additional weekday wealth.
Let's dig into you mentioned you're doing a lot of game show things because you're marketing it. Can we give a couple of tips or pointers when it comes to marketing something like a game show, which not everybody has, and it's kind of it has a unique appeal. What are a couple of things if people are wanting to market their trivia or their game show that would help them to be more successful with that?
Obviously, networking, letting people know what you have. The one issue, and I've built Rob Peters Entertainment, and I want to brag for a second to
Go
prove the
ahead.
point. Um, I've gone through a period up here where I get a lot of people who say to me, "I didn't know you did that." We have Santa Clauses that go out around the holidays. We book Santa Claus,
Hmm.
and a lot of people don't know that we book Santa Claus. Networking is huge. Going to a networking group and getting in front of people, networking with party and event planners, meeting planners, letting them know you have this stuff and making it so that you're the resource. But the best way I've gotten this business, John, is I actually threw my own party. I went and rented a room.
Okay.
I paid for a cash bartender. It was at a hotel. I'm doing another one right after Mobile Beat, so I'm really excited about it. And what I did was I invited several different groups of people. I invited every corporate contact I've ever worked with. I do a lot of work, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes with one of Boston's biggest radio station groups. I invite all of their salespeople. I invite meeting and event planners. I invite clients. I invite whoever. And what we do is we have a getting to know you party, and we actually let them experience. It's like test driving a car.
Right.
You have to, you bring them out and you show it to them, but you make them part of the show. I do filter in some of my staff. I do have a couple of my Santa Claus people are actually professional actors
Hmm.
that help out as Santa's helpers during the holidays. So what we do with that is I actually put them into the show and I tell them, you know what? I want you to take it to the line, but not cross the line. I want you to make them feel comfortable, but make them feel like they're going to remember something stupid you do, just so they'll call us. And I got to be honest with you, if they see it, they're going to remember you. That's the biggie. But if they don't know, you don't do it. If it's not on your website, and you're not taking advantage of things like AdWords and meta tags. I get the first couple of calls I got doing some of the game shows like Feud, where you know what? I Googled game shows Boston and you came up.
Nice.
And I saw what's on your website. And we're marketing, John, without video right now. We're just showing a picture of what we do, and that's it. That's obviously going to change because the dynamic is changing when it comes to that kind of marketing. But those are the two big ways. Just getting the words out, getting it out there, and making sure people know you have it is like the big thing. And it doesn't have to be a party, though. You can just network.
Hmm.
Just go to, let your meeting and event planner know you offer this stuff. And maybe one-on-one meetings also work well. And I got to put that out there because I had 2 today. I went to 2 function facilities that we do work for on weddings. And we didn't do a lot when it came to the holiday parties. And I actually sat down with a tablet and I went through a lot of the stuff. And it was the same thing, John. I didn't know you did that.
Hmm.
If it's out of sight, they're not going to think of you. So get out there and be bold about it.
Yeah, that just dropping in to the venues is such a huge thing that's often overlooked because, as you say, out of sight, out of mind. Even
Mm-hmm.
though, oh yeah, yeah, I remember they're a good DJ, but maybe you're not the first one off their tongue when someone says, "Yeah, I need someone because we're going to have 50 people up here and I need a party." Well, the guy that she saw last weekend that she can tolerate might get because he was the last one she saw or he
Mm-hmm.
saw. Yeah.
You also
I,
want to research. I want to throw this out there because you want to research companies that are in the similar field but don't do the exact same thing or don't offer the services that you offer.
okay.
We have a company out here that they're not a national company by any stretch, but they do things like they do the photo novelties, like the green screen and the spin art frisbees and caricature artists and airbrush T-shirts and all that stuff for events. And networking with them and organizations like that is going to help you because you're going to fill a niche that they can't. And at the same time, you want to make sure it's reciprocal, meaning you want to make sure that when you get a call for something that you don't do that maybe they do, that you're maybe either passing the work or maybe developing a relationship where you can book that work and subcontract it out to them.
Yeah. Great.
And
No,
they
good.
actually, it's funny because that company actually helped with, we talked about corporate, and it could lead over into another topic, and that is store openings and store celebrations. Um, Back in the day, Shell Oil up here in the Northeast used to do a promotion every Friday where they would have a live DJ playing at the Shell station. They'd have a promotional company come in with balloons and uh, selling hot dogs or giving out hot dogs and that kind of stuff as a promotion. This is when V Power, if you know anything about Shell,
Yep.
this is when V Power, their premium unleaded, became branded as V Power. And
Okay.
they wanted to promote it. And the best way to promote it was to have a party every Friday. And you'd be outside and we would run contests. I would take two customers, I would have them stand side by side, I would have them put their credit cards in and get approved. I would say, ready, set, go. And I would see which one could pump $20 worth of gas first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Store celebrations, they need that kind of hoopla. And it might not be the kind of hoopla getting the $20 first. They might just need a PA for ribbon cutting.
Hmm.
It's all that stuff.
Yeah. All the little thing, and again, when these businesses, they aren't thinking of you many times when they have these needs. They might be thinking, well, I'm just going to go rent it from the local rental place and then try to do something themselves with an iPod. Whereas if a person, they knew you were in contact, you're networking with these different businesses, it's amazing the need that's out there, and the timing of those needs are generally fitting into our schedule very well.
Exactly. Store celebrations and ribbon cuttings. Another great way to get those is to network with your Chamber of Commerce because in a lot of cases, the Chamber of Commerce is going to be at those kinds of
Oh,
events
for sure.
to show their support. And a lot of times, these companies, the Chamber of Commerce I'm a member of, that we do a lot of ribbon cuttings for. These businesses go to them because they're the only place. Our Chamber of Commerce is the only place that has the big giant scissors,
Mm.
the ribbon cutting. You can't find them anywhere else. So they go to the chamber, and it turns into a conversation of, well, do you have somebody for a PA for the dignitaries that may be speaking? Do you want to have a DJ there who's going to be, making announcements about its 2-for-1 water or whatever's going on?
Yeah.
So a chamber of commerce, when you talk about corporate, can also be a great way, whether it's something small like a ribbon cutting or something as big as networking your way into doing a summer outing or a corporate event.
Have you found with the Chamber of Commerce, now this is just an observation, not so much my DJ, but with our newspapers, that the people who are active on the chamber are very, very, I don't want to say territorial, but they're very, very cognizant of doing business with other chamber businesses way before they would basically go to someone else. Have you seen that?
No,
Okay.
and I'm going to tell you why. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Now I'm going to give away the big secret. Your viewers came on tonight, John. I'm going to give away the big secret. Get your chamber membership for free.
Yep.
Here's how. Big B word, barter it.
Mm-hmm.
Agree to do their annual meeting, agree to provide their time, because usually every chamber of commerce has an annual meeting, and it's usually 300 to 500 people. And if you go in, and I'm going to do this for a second, you go into some of these hotels that have the jack in the wall
Mm-hmm.
and that little
Yep.
10-inch speaker in the ceiling,
The
and
70
when
volt. Yep.
they talk like Charlie Brown. That's not the kind of sound quality they want when they bring in some big speaker. The big speakers, and it gets back to it gets to something else we'll talk about in a little bit, and that is being an AV company. Um, Go and offer to do it for them and trade so that you can be a member and be the one that they're going to turn to.
Yeah.
That gets rid of the whole territorial thing right off the bat, because then you're in the inner circle. I've been with my chamber now for 22 years,
Wow.
and it's an amazing relationship because I go to every meeting. Everybody knows when it comes to a DJ, they know who to call to get a quote. And we book probably, and it's not just weekday stuff, it's stuff like the old Colony Hospice is doing their walkathon, and they're paying us to come out on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and get people pepped up to walk 5 miles.
Mm-hmm.
There are all kinds of business opportunities with the Chamber of Commerce. I highly recommend, you brought it, how to get the most out of it. Become a networking guru. Read what you can about effective networking. And there's a lot of books out there. It's not about going in and collecting about 50 cards and leaving the room. It's about maybe making 2 or 3 worthwhile relationships that are going to recognize you, and giving is as good as getting. We could do a whole night on networking.
Oh, for
But
sure.
to answer your question though, I tear that wall down by getting involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's I guess maybe misunderstood is that when we're part of the chamber, we get preferential treatment over
Of
with
course.
calls, and they will be very. If you're not part of it, it's very blatant and obvious that boy, we don't do business with people who aren't part of the chamber unless we absolutely have to. So
It's like being in the mafia. I'm only kidding.
no, it's actually that's a great. It is very similar to that. Very similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of
It is.
family here. Okay.
We take care of our own. When you're in, you're in. When you're out, you're out.
You're out.
Yeah.
So we talk about team building, the picnics and such, but there's other opportunities that may not be just us they're performing, because there
Mhm.
are some logistics, and you kind of mentioned a little bit about renting, but go into a little more detail about what kind of things some of the corporate company or the corporations might be looking to rent for different events.
Well, we talked about the big one. We all own DJ systems, and if you think about it, most of our industry works Friday through Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, our gear is sitting, not making money, and sitting in a garage, warehouse, wherever. Why not get it out there and working? Um, we'll start with the Chamber of Commerce as an entry level kind of place to do it. Letting people know that, you know what, you've got a business meeting coming up, and you know what, you're going to have more people than, a simple being in, you get a room of 50 people, you're going to want amplified sound. Renting out a speaker with a tripod on a powered speaker on a tripod and a microphone, step right there. You
Yep.
charge 100, 150 bucks. I highly recommend, by the way, when I quote prices, I'm quoting prices near where I live. I highly recommend, if you're going to do this, shop, talk, and find out what the professional companies are doing.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm not saying to undercut, but you know what? If you know you can do it for a little bit less and offer them the same kind of quality, don't be shy about it.
Yep.
Hotels, not the big hotels. The big hotels are going to have their own AV department. But look at the small hotels that have the small meeting room. They usually don't have a big budget to have in-house AV, and they're always looking for a projector, somebody with a lavalier mic and a powered speaker, screens,
Yeah.
LCD TVs. There's another whole avenue. And it's early mornings. You got to be on site at 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock in the morning business meeting. But you know what? You're done at like 8, 9 o'clock, and you leave your phone number in case something goes wrong, and you're not that far away. You go, you work your office, you go home, take a nap, catch Steve Harvey and Oprah, whatever you're gonna do, and then you go back at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, pick everything up, and you've made some money without having to do a whole heck of a lot. Realistically, you're making some revenue with that gear that's more than likely going to be sitting if you didn't do anything with it.
Precisely.
That's the big one. Finding out seminars. If there are seminars coming to a particular place that you're in with, a particular hotel room or anything like that, and maybe they're looking for you to come in, and provide a wireless lavalier mic. If you do wedding ceremonies and you have a clip-on mic that you use for the officiant, subtle hint, you probably should. But that's a whole other story, and I'm sure I could bring Randy Bartlett in to talk a little bit more about how that's going to work. What I'm getting at, though, is if a lot of AV companies don't have the little things that we use to make a big difference, like an extra boom stand, like a lavalier microphone or a headset microphone. Letting them know that you have these things and dropping them off and delivering them, extra weekday money. It's not thousands of dollars, it's hundreds of dollars, but it's hundreds of dollars you wouldn't have if you didn't put it out there.
Exactly. And those little $100 things, 100 here, 200 here, those add up if you can pick up a couple each week, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you mentioned radio stations and promos with radio stations. Let's dig into that one a little bit.
Promos with radio stations can be very lucrative, but you need to know how to play the game. You talked a little while ago about chambers being territorial.
Yep.
Radio stations kind of play that game, but they're not so much territorial. Radio stations want to work without having to write a check, truth be told.
Okay.
In a lot of cases, they want to barter. And they want to barter for airtime or a banner on their website, something that they have to cover the cost of that. Truth be told, I have thousands of dollars of radio trade that are airing right now that I've got spots running on 3 radio stations here in Boston that are getting my phone to ring for brides who are getting married and moms who are planning their kids' birthday party, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm also real with them. When I hit a certain ceiling, I tell them, you're going to have to charge the client for me to come. And that's how I get paid, is I get the booking from the commercial, but when I hit a certain ceiling, then I'm telling them, okay, you know what, we're going to a cash basis. Radio station promos happen all the time. And it's everything, we talked about the grand openings at stores and the promotions at stores. They hire radio stations. Radio stations do promos in malls all the time.
Yeah.
I did one a couple of weeks ago here in Boston. The mayor put on Winterfest during February school vacation week. And out on Boston Common, they had a big inflatable slide. They had an inflatable snow globe that you get pictures taken in. And it was a big festival that the mayor put on. They hired Magic 106.7 to come out and be out there in the promo, and they needed a DJ. Well, they called Magic, and Magic called me and contracted me to come out. Great day, but the temperature with wind chills was in the teens. And I was outside for 6 hours. Not the entire 6. I kept on having to make a phone call, and I'd get in my truck, turn the heat on, thaw, and then go back out again. But it was a great day. It was very profitable. I got 6 hours worth of pay out of it, and the exposure because I'm now affiliated and was doing a promo on behalf of Magic 106.7.
Nice.
And there were some good perks there. Like I said, radio advertising, we could have a conversation and debate that all day long. But in my opinion, it has helped to a degree because people hear my commercials and they call because they hear it on the radio. And if I can get them on the phone, I can at least start my sales process a little bit to make that a profitable thing.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Just making my notes here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine too.
Yeah,
I'm just checking out the things we've talked about so far. We've talked about a lot.
We have. We're working our way through. Let's get into some of the games now. There's 2 different games, and I don't want to and that's not really a youth entertainment. We're gonna get into your real.
Youth entertainment. Oh
We're gonna
boy.
get into your kind of your little home area here now. But there's two things I want to talk about in that arena: the bubble parties for the younger ones, and then our good friend Keith Allen has a system. I don't. You're gonna have to describe that.
Let's call it a program.
A program. There we go. There we go.
There you
Yes, a
go.
program fits it much better. So let's start with the younger ones, and then let's work our way to the older ones. So summertime, I've got my 7 year olds. They're all the friends are getting together because it's a birthday party. I need entertainment. Take it from there.
Bubble parties. Huge. Um, it started as a program from John Allo, and it was designed at daycare centers. And it's taken off into this whole big thing. It's become a business program, and that's what we offer. I'm not going to do the sales pitch, but if I can just do the shameless plug, Mobile Beat Las Vegas. If you're going to be there and you're watching this live, Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, free gift for everybody who shows up. That's it. That's all I'm going to talk about right now. You want more? Check out the Mobile Beat site. But kids' bubble parties, ages 3 to 7, we go out and we do a bubble dance party at daycare centers and childcare facilities and after school programs. And it's now exploded into public library programs
Oh
and
yeah.
concerts on the common and park and rec. It's taken a life of its own, and it's phenomenal money because you're done by 12 noon.
Hmm.
And, I said this earlier, my schedule fills up during the week. So come Saturday, I'm not concerned about having a wedding on the books because I've worked all week and made the money I need to make to pay my bills and to make a living. I now can, and truth be told, I bought a camper. So I own a camper. I want to go camping Friday afternoon through Sunday.
Awesome.
So I'm glad to be making that money. But a bubble party, it's interactive entertainment for kids ages 3 to 7. It involves kid-friendly music, interactivity, and hundreds of bubbles. And it's really turned into something special that I'm thrilled to be spearheading. And you're right, it is my baby, and I love talking to DJs about it. I love teaching the program. So that's what we do with bubbles. But I'm going to transition over into what do you do with the older kids beyond 7?
Yes.
And Keith Allen, my good friend Keith Allen, developed a program called Camperty, which is going out to camps and doing a game show combined with interactive team games. And it's one of these things that, and I can speak for Keith and myself, we've been doing this a long time. There's money to be made. If you've got kids in daycare, you know how much it costs to send them to daycare, and they're not
Hmm.
breaking even. They're making a profit.
Yeah.
Camps, same thing. And they're bringing these programs in, they're bringing this quality stuff in to keep their program going and to draw more people in. It's not like they're just going to bring it in once. They want to bring it in every summer. And it speaks to something our friend Ron Ruth keeps talking about when he talks about Disney. 75% of the people, according to Ron, that go to Disney this year are going to go back next year. And I'm hoping to be one of them because I went last year and I want to go back. But it's one of those things that these programs, 75%, 80% of my customers that booked in 2015, John, are coming back this year.
Very nice.
And when I'm talking about going up $10, they're like, you know what? No problem. You can go up 20 if you want.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with Keith. I'm selling my summers out and I'm having fun doing it.
Nice.
So if I can just throw the last thing out there, bubbleparties.com if you want more information on our business program, camperty.com if you want more information about what Keith's doing with camps. But those are two big things, especially during the summer. And I brought up some other things there too. You've got, you've got the concert on the Common series, and you know what? You don't have to have a gimmick like camps or camperty or bubbles to go out and do this. There's a guy in my town. He's just a kid DJ who just does some of the games that we do at bar and bar mitzvahs,
Yeah.
and they pay him to come out to the concerts and do them.
Hmm.
So if you've got that, you don't have to have the high tech stuff. If you put together something that's going to wow them and keep the kids engaged, and more importantly, be impressive enough to the staff and the director, you're going to land this kind of work.
Kind of going and adding to that one, we're in a kind of a resort area here where we have a lot of hotels. that have families coming up on the weekends, and actually many of them start with families coming in on Thursdays, going and entertaining the kids in the afternoon. The hotels are looking for something, and I think I've turned down 3 different calls on this where they were looking for something that I could do with the kids, but it was on a day in which I had already booked. But there's just, when you develop that repertoire of activities and you get known as the children's entertainment guy in a positive
Hmm.
way, there's just
Exactly.
a lot of value with that.
You brought resorts up, and you know what? I want to transition our conversation into resorts. They're not just looking for the kids' entertainment; they want entertainment on the weekends too. And if you play your cards right, and it's not just resorts, campgrounds. And I brought that up because we do campgrounds. We'll go out on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon and do something. They want activities for the kids because everybody's on vacation. So they want somebody to come in and keep the kids entertained for an hour and away from mom and dad so they can have the adults swim at the pool. And that's just a whole other avenue. And if you market it right and you build the rapport the right way and put a proposal in, don't be shy about saying to them, you know what? We don't just do this. We also provide DJ entertainment. Don't be afraid. I talked about this in the beginning. Don't be afraid to put your cards on the table and tell them what you do because you never know that oddball thing like Santa Claus. A lot of campgrounds do Christmas in July.
Mm-hmm.
They'll call me up and say, "Hey, listen, you know what? We need Santa. We need for you to call the North Pole, Rob. We need Santa to show up this weekend
Nice.
and hand out gifts to the kids." And it's just another avenue to bring in that weekday wealth that, and it's niche stuff. And I guess that's the big thing when it comes to weekday wealth. And I kind of uh, really enjoy doing this stuff more, believe it or not, than doing the amount of weddings I used to do 10 or
Yeah,
12 years ago.
I would
Because
agree.
it's twofold. First of all, I like to having my weekends off, especially in the summer, so I can enjoy time with my family and being able to go do what I want to do.
Yes.
But, and this is one of the big selling points when I talk about the bubble program. If you go on to Craigslist, if you go, you could throw a rock and hit somebody who says they're a DJ.
Yep.
Truth.
Very true.
You cannot throw a rock and hit somebody that is going to be a game show host or an interactive entertainer, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So you've got that niche that's going to set you apart. It's going to help open doors to some of the other things you do. And I think it really does nails it on the head. And truth be told, anybody that you were to figuratively hit in the head who claims they're a DJ, more than likely, and I'm not knocking here, does it part time as supplemental income. They're not taking it as seriously as somebody who's building a business with it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there are some people out there, and we'll all agree on this, that they own some DJ gear. They're a plumber during the day and during the week, and they DJ just to put a maybe, 1 or 2 jobs a month and put an extra $300 or $400 in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that, but there's a difference between them and somebody who builds a business and makes a living at it.
For sure. For sure. Okay, let's see. Next, let's talk a little bit more about doing trivia and doing trivia,
Trivia.
because that's a whole large area that we've talked about it. It's been back and forth over the years, and I'm getting a feeling that trivia is actually kind of coming back because you've got that love affair with game shows, as you're talking about Steve Harvey, that people are enjoying the game show thing. They're enjoying that mental aspect of it, and you've got a generation of people. You and I grew up watching the $25,000 pyramid or whatever, 100,000, whatever. We
Mhm.
watched those shows, so it was all part of it. So to a point, it was like, oh, that's mom and dad stuff. Well, now you've got the millennials who are coming up, and they didn't experience that. So there's a level of excitement in game shows, and trivia fits into that. Let's talk about how does a trivia work in bars like or bar situations, and how does a person get into that?
John, before we started tonight, we were talking, and you've got a really good client that introduces that stuff, and I can speak to that because I have a colleague up here in the Northeast that is a DJ trivia provider
Yeah.
in this market, and in talking to them and talking to the people at DJ Trivia, they really put together a program that beats no other, and they give you everything you need. But trivia, there's so many. You can do it the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. You can do the game show booth. You can do. There's technology out there now where you can do it by downloading an app on your smartphone and playing in the bar and having the answers go to the host without having to leave your seat and without having to use any other equipment. The technology's out there, but you got to be able to have the longevity. In my experience, you need to go out there and you need to make sure that you've got things like you've got a good customer base that's going to be showing up. A lot of bars look for the big F word, not that F word, a following. They want to know that you've got a group of people that you're going to be able to bring into their bar. Now, the argument is you're being hired to keep people in their bar, and that's true. But if you've got a following, if you've got, you've been doing this for a while and you're not doing things like getting everybody's email address and making an email list and letting them know the places you're doing it at, you should be.
Yes.
But it can be very simple trivia. Sports bars love sports trivia. There are, the nostalgia bars that love the nostalgia and the pop culture and everything else. And there's plenty of content available for purchase out there to get started. And once you do, you could be doing 4 or 5 nights a week. I know guys that are out there 3 or 4 nights a week, and they're just doing trivia.
Yes.
In bars, it depends on the bar. You got to get the bar behind you. You can't just walk in and say, hey, I'm offering trivia. You got to get them involved. You got to get them to promote it just as much as you're going to promote it. You need to develop a partnership, and you need to hold them. And I'm not saying all bars are bad, but you got to hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. You've got to make sure that they're on board to do this, because a lot of the times they expect you to come in and do all the work, and when it fails, you're out of a job in 3 or 4 weeks. And their attitude is, you know what, we're never going to have it back because it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's not that it didn't work. They just had the wrong person doing it.
Yeah, very much so. It happens in a lot of aspects of bars. That's for sure.
And you got to have fun with it, too. Truth be told, I was writing some content the other day for trivia I'm working on for actually a corporate client. And it's ironically about, if you remember, the TV show Happy Days.
Yeah.
And I'll throw it out there, and they can take it if they want. Richie Cunningham, on the first episode of Happy Days, his first encounter with Fonz, said the same 2 words to the Fonz in the last episode when he crashed Joni's wedding.
I'm not even sure if Hi Fonz?
He said hi Fonz both times. Little known, little trivia thing there. But, as you can tell, I kind of have a thing for the nostalgia kind of stuff. And
yeah,
it works out pretty well. And what's funny is, John, as we're talking, we made it, truth be told, everybody, we made this huge, we wrote a list. I've got like 3 more things we're going to add to this today, because I got some good weekday stuff that I haven't even uncovered yet that I think we're going to share, because I think it'll be fun. But trivia, your content's got to be strong. You got to have a great program. You got to get the bar on board when it comes to prizes. You got to be a strong host. You got to be able to hold your own, and you got to be able to put up with. You got to have a little bit of a thick skin.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you got to put on when it's a questionable answer. Because the fact checking, I guess, is the really big thing when it comes to trivia.
Yeah.
Make sure you double and triple check your facts. I've been caught one too many times with an outdated question that I got wherever, and it bit me in the butt when it's come to handing out a grand prize like a vacation. I didn't have to pay for the vacation, thank goodness, but it's still one of those things. And if you get into the right scenario and you start getting successful, that's where the big F word comes into play. That's where your following comes into play. So when you go to another bar, and here's a little tip, if you're going to start trying to market multiple nights, put a barrier up, a mileage radius for your customer, meaning tell your customers, I'm not going to do a bar within a 10-mile radius of your bar. That way there, I'm not going to step on your toes on any of the other nights during the week.
Yeah.
it's a security blanket. You can't guarantee it because if you've got a strong enough following, they're going to follow you 30 or 40 miles.
Mm-hmm. But it's a nice gesture for the bar owners, and the bar owners are pretty up. They know where their clients are coming from, and they know that if it's within 10 miles or even out in our neck of the woods where we're more rural, 10 miles is that's quite an area, and we don't have many people traveling for burger night, let's say, or taco night that far.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice gesture. But yeah, as you were saying, the dedicated ones, I've got a few friends who are doing the DJ trivia system, and they do multiple nights, multiple sites, and they're making some huge money during the week. I mean, we're talking $3,000 to $5,000 of income coming in just from trivia
Oh,
during the
no.
week. And
There
they're
is money to be made.
yeah,
Um, you want to also know who your competition is. There's a company up here called Stump Trivia, and they're very good at what they do, but they're everywhere. And it works to an advantage for a company like mine because they are everywhere. And a lot of the bar owners are seeing now that, you know what, he's at my bar on Tuesday and he's at the bar down the street on Thursday.
yeah,
So I'm losing my Thursday night clientele because they're all going over there to follow the guy.
mm-hmm,
I'm not going to hash out the whole, is it right, is it wrong? But if you're doing the goodwill for the owner, nobody's ever going to shoot you down for saying, you know what, I put up a 10-mile radius between you and another bar.
mm-hmm.
They're never going to turn around and tell you you're crazy well, there are people who are going to tell you you're crazy, but the bar owner is never going to hold that against you.
Yeah,
Unless
exactly.
you break that pact with them.
Yep. Yeah, it's more of a courtesy thing in that particular.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Yeah, again,
And you
trivia
can't put a price on the future goodwill that will come from that either.
for sure. Yeah.
And you talked about bars. We were talking earlier. There's a lot of bars out there now that are bringing in just DJs for that one more drink kind of concept at the end of dinner. We don't do it up here, and there are certain parts of the country where these don't happen anymore. But happy hours,
Yeah.
down in Florida, they're huge, and they bring in DJs and stuff. But they're bringing in entertainment to keep people in the bar longer.
Yep.
There are some places they may do like a radio station trivia promo from 5 to 7, and they'll hire the DJ to stay on an hour later just to keep people in their seats and to keep them feeling good and having a good time and purchasing another drink. And it's a good concept. I would like to see more of that happen. But, we talked about liability with liquor bars. It's become huge, and it's not something that goes away anytime soon.
We've seen a couple of venues in my travels where it's kind of interesting. There's always the happy hour, the alcohol special, and there's usually a food special. And what's interesting is watching how some of the have the alcohol special, then there's an overlap of the food special and that, but mainly the food special, the 2-for-1 is after the alcohol's over. So you have a couple of drinks, and then here comes the 2-for-1 on the hors d'oeuvres. I'm going to order that. Well, the alcohol specials has gone, but now I've got my hors d'oeuvres. Well, I end up having to buy another drink, and then hey, here comes in. There's going to be some entertainment for a while. So now I'm sitting there. I've just eaten. I've had. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll get another drink. That one more, two more drinks is where they're after in that bar world. So it's kind of neat to see bar owners are understanding that our position is more of a keep them there than it is to bring them in, because
And that's what's really important, John. And I've consulted with DJs on occasion. I get DJs who call me for advice to pick my ear, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that DJs make is they market, I'm going to come in and provide entertainment.
Yeah.
And they miss the boat on the fact that that's not what the bar owner wants to hear. He wants to hear that you're going to do something to keep people in their seats, buying another drink, or staying later for an appetizer, or doing something to maximize whatever that investment is that they're going to be giving you.
Yeah.
And that's what they want to hear. And that's how you want to pitch it. And you want to pitch it in a manner that obviously makes you the answer that they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and one of the
trivia and bars, I think that's going to be around for a long time because people, we had a saying a long time ago, and I want to thank my friend Rob Smith out of Tampa for this. Not everybody can sing, but everybody likes to think that they know it all. And it's true.
No karaoke, less karaoke, more. I know that answer.
Speaking of karaoke, um, it's a topic that's still hot. There is still the popular karaoke is still hot thanks to The Voice and Idol.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that often gets overlooked by DJs is trying to figure out a way to keep it fresh and new and even theme it. A lot of us go out and we market, oh, well, come into your bar and do karaoke. Um, and I think you got to look for the niche. You got to be not be afraid of going after things like doing a country karaoke night
Yeah.
or getting crazy with the costumes and having a little bit of fun that way, and maybe doing something similar to The Voice. There's a software program from one of the game show companies out there that's similar to America's Got Talent.
Hmm.
So there's plenty out there.
And that's an interesting thing. The whole the karaoke world right now. When you look at that it's being used in different spots. You see it in some mainstream TV has had some shots of that this past season, but you don't see what a traditional DJ or KJ how we typically do it, where the host is singing songs and the host is doing this and the host is involved as much. It's really what you see is just the people, an empty stage with two microphones and they're up there singing. It's
Hmm.
kind of different in what the perception of the public is of what those are, and what we hear people talking about on chat boards. I've got a KJ friend who's like, "How can you be a KJ if you're not singing a third of the songs?" It's like, huh? What?
Let's put it this way: I sing one song when I do karaoke.
Hmm.
I usually kick off the night, and I'll be upfront. My girlfriend will attest to this. If you see her walking around Vegas, she's seen me sing once. I can't carry a tune in a paper bag, but that's okay
Hmm.
because it makes the other people who think, geez, I can't sing, that makes them feel a little bit better when they actually see me screwing it up,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's, add a photo booth twist to karaoke with the costumes. If you think about it, we spend a lot of money on the hats and the feather boas and all that stuff. Get a little crazy. Go and get the inflatable guitars and the rocker hats and stuff, and have a little bit of fun when it comes to your karaoke, and dare to be different. And I think that's what's going to keep karaoke around for a long time. Is there are those people that are the diehards that are going to go out to it, and there are bars that are building their reputation even 20 years later on something that happened and they became a karaoke bar and they haven't been able to shake that.
Hmm.
That's okay because different strokes are for different folks.
Oh, exactly. And there's definitely room in the market for it. And I found with my own personal show, I do karaoke about 4 or 5 times a year, and I find that people are appreciating. It used to be that we were so worried about having reverb and all these different things. I've been finding that people are just really appreciating quality microphones. I run Shure 58s with the microphones and the sound systems and the monitors and such, so they can hear what they sound like. And yet, it's not a ton of gear that I'm bringing, but it's bringing quality gear compared to some of the stuff I used to use back when we were doing it all the time. And
If you've got music videos, do music videos in between, or
oh yeah.
um, turn the back of the stage or the back of the performance area, put up a stretch curtain on a tripod with a projector behind it, and have a little bit of fun with it that way. There's so much you can do with this, and you know what? I think it's a concept that's still going to have legs, and still going to be around for another 10 years or so until the next big thing comes out.
I think it actually might even, because of the whole "look at me" world that we're of this generation that's coming up,
Mm-hmm.
that every little thing I think I'm going to put in 142 characters and send it out there. I think it's only going to increase this drive for this. So I don't think it's going anywhere quickly. It's just that you're going to have a generation who's used to better quality sound, better quality electronics, that are going to demand that, hey, you've got to get to that area. And then Chris had posted in there that karaoke is kind of dying in his area. Yeah, I think it's kind of a kind of an ebb and flow situation in many areas. You know, some, as you mentioned, the bars that were labeled at 20 years ago, and they've just ridden that, and they've ridden it successfully. But in most areas, I think there's a little bit of an up and down, but I think you're going to see a consistent growth with that over the next 5 years for sure.
Bingo. And speaking of bingo,
There's a
something we haven't talked
segue.
about, but you know what? It's worth talking about if we're talking about weekday wealth and you're talking about bars. The whole musical bingo thing
Oh, yeah.
is huge right now. And it's huge in a couple of different areas to make some weekday money. The bars, absolutely. The bars are loving this stuff because everybody can play. You know, I said it earlier. Not everybody can sing, but everybody likes to think they can know it all. Well, guess what? Not everybody knows it all, but they all know music and they all can read. And if you bought the right kind of or developed the right kind of bingo program, you can get everybody involved. I went out the other night. Now I do it. I do it in bars, and I'm
Hmm.
going to tell you two other places that I'm doing bingo right now during the week that are making me money. But I want to tell the story because when I usually have that rare night off, we go out and usually it's Kim and I and we go somewhere. We went to this place down by us. It's a gourmet pizza place where they cook it in this huge brick oven.
Okay.
And the DJ there was doing it. It was Friday night, and that's what shocked me was that he was actually doing it on Friday night. He actually was doing, playing music and getting the crowd going. But then he ran bingo.
Hmm.
Now I host bingo, John. I love hosting it. I got to tell you, it was nice to sit on the other side and actually have fun with it. I didn't win anything, but you know what? I could see some new ways of being able to sell it just by being at somebody
Hmm.
else's show
Oh, for sure.
because I was on the end of being the customer. Bars are a great place to do it. I will be honest with you, depending on your market, you're going to find a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition out there for this. There's software programs out there. There are companies that are out there doing it. There are DJs making their own. However, you're doing it, just be prepared if you're going into the bar market for competition. Where I'm doing it and making money at it is and I don't even want to use the pun of it's an undying breed because it's the wrong joke at the wrong time. Assisted living facilities, nursing homes,
Yeah.
over 55 communities. Um, I did one a couple weeks ago, and it's literally right around the corner. My office is located about 10 miles south of Boston,
Hmm.
and literally a half mile from my office. I went in and did an hour with them, and I charged $250 to do it. And the cool thing about it is it was the most engaging audience. I used every cheesy joke in the book, and they got it all, and it didn't matter. But it was such a fun time, and it's an open niche. If you're going to go for that market, though, you got to go for the older music. You've got to really know your Frank Sinatra, your Dean Martin, your doo-wop, your oldies.
Yeah.
And another area where I'm doing it, believe it or not, is actually a corporate. I have a corporate that they're doing they have people in training, and it's a group of about 50 people. And what they're doing is they're having me come in, and it's actually next week before the Mobile Beach show. I'm going in for 2 hours and I'm doing bingo in the lunchroom. They have a huge lunch area for 2 hours for this group and a bunch of their employees. And they're going out and spending big money on the prizes.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
also doing it, and I got to bring it back there. I'm doing it ironically at YMCA's during the summer.
Hmm.
I do a concept called Kid Bingo, where it's pictures. It's pictures of characters they know, and
Sure.
I'm throwing in music that they know. I actually do an ice cream shop every school vacation week. She has me come in. I set up a little monitor, and it's for the younger kids, the kids I do bubble parties with. I can't do bubbles in her ice cream shop because of the floors and the liability.
Yeah.
But I can come in and I do little stuff, and I actually hand out little vials of bubbles as prizes.
Nice.
And I get paid to do that for an hour. I get a really cool ice cream sundae. Not that I need that, but it's these little niches that are out there that have really helped me expand into a lot of weekday stuff.
Hmm.
But bingo is you talk about karaoke being a dying breed, and for the person who posted that, if there's no bingo in that area or that bar's not doing bingo, develop a program, get your hands on a program, develop it, and get out there and get into it. Because I'll tell you, they're going to be looking for a change in your area, and they're going to be looking for something new.
Yeah, for sure. Great stuff. Great stuff. We are just about up. Our hour is just about up, my friend.
I got two more.
Well, let's give them a quick
We didn't
one.
talk about these two more. I talked about over 55 communities.
Yeah.
And they have been coming, they started coming around the 90s. The over 55 crowd, they didn't want to live in certain neighborhoods anymore. The neighborhoods are changing.
Hmm.
And you're seeing over 55 communities pop up a little bit more in different parts of the country and in different towns. Get to know their activities director, especially if they are a new development, because part of their job is to host events to meet your neighbor.
Yes.
If you do any kind of team building or game shows or bingo, offer this stuff up, but don't make the entire show a bingo. You want to allow them to have the time to meet their neighbors and get to know each other. So you do a round of bingo and you give them a 5-minute break afterwards. You know what? You really want to have fun with it. On the way in, everybody gets one of those colored dots that you put on file cabinets,
Yep.
and you sit them at tables that match the dot colors to play whatever they're doing. And they get to know their neighbor. Something that I'm taking from the wedding market right now. I have a bride who's getting married in 2 weeks. She's doing the Mad Libs on the table,
Hmm.
where it's basically write our story, and it's a Mad Libs thing. And I have to read each Mad Libs. I can't wait for this. But make a Mad Lib so that people can get to know their neighbors.
Hmm. Nice.
It's simple stuff like that. It's the creativity part of what we do that is what's going to carry you into whatever niche you're going into. But the over 55 communities, they're always looking for stuff. And they're always, and a lot of that stuff is during the week. They want to have their stuff during the week because on the weekends, they're going to see their kids or they're going away.
Right.
So that's always a good niche. Another one, and this is one that made me a lot of money about 4 years ago. Look at your local. I don't want to say don't go to the Chicago Cubs or the Boston Red Sox, but if you've got the little farm league baseball teams in your area, we have one in Brockton. It's called the Brockton Rock. They're actually a collegiate team, but these small little ballparks, and it's not your farm team. It's the development leagues.
Hmm.
They're always looking for some fun, and they're always looking for people with personality. I
Sure.
spent the summer of 2012. I spent my entire summer during the day. I was out doing bubble parties and doing camps. And at 4 o'clock on most weeks, at least Thursdays and Fridays, I was going to the ballpark and I was the on-field personality. And I was running things like the Dizzy Bat Race, where you
Yeah.
ran around a bat 5 times and then you had to run in a straight line or as best you could,
Hmm.
or the beat the mascot race around the bases and running little games like that. The cool thing about this is, depending on who you get in with, you can actually they provide a lot of that stuff, and they're just looking for somebody with personality that's going to get out there and get the crowd excited for what's about to happen
Yep.
and run the game and get in and out in about a minute to a minute and a half.
Hmm.
And it pays.
Oh
It's,
yeah.
it's weekday money. It turns into weekend money depending on the team you work with, but it's a contract that opens a lot of doors. And I say this whenever I speak, John. We all know Scott Tabor. A lot of us that have been around, we all know Scott Tabor. But one thing Scott taught me a long time ago, and he shared this with me. Every time we get out and we set up our gear and we perform for a wedding, a party, a corporate event, a kids event, whatever, we are doing the best marketing we can right there and then, because
For
we
sure.
are exposing our talent, our craft, and our services to an audience of potential customers.
Yes. Very much so.
So,
That puts us right up to the end of our hour. Rob, if
wow,
people want to find out,
I'm ready for more. I want to go for more.
No, we don't want to go too. We want to respect the folks' time tonight. If
That's
people want to get a
fine.
hold of you, what's the best way to get it? If they have questions for you or would like to talk more about anything we've talked about tonight?
Okay. Um, email djrobpeters@gmail. If you want information on bubble parties and becoming a provider, we have a free special report. Bubbleparties.com. Click the Become a Provider link. If you see me at Mobile Beat Las Vegas, I will not be opposed if you want to pick my brain and buy me a cup of coffee or lunch or dinner or put money in the casino for me when I'm broke. In all seriousness, though, if you see me walking around any of the conventions, and as long as I'm not about to jump on stage and speak or with somebody else, I am more than glad to share what I know. I've been doing this for 27 years. We met actually, you and I met for the first time, John, at a DJ show,
Yeah.
and we've developed such a great camaraderie and working together. I have no problem sharing what I know because you know what? At some point, I'm not going to be doing this anymore, and this industry is going to need some new blood. And if I can teach somebody and make a difference with one person, it's a step in the right direction
For sure.
There you go.
That's why we do what we do. Rob, thank you very much for your time. Great information tonight. I've got my notes. I know people were taking notes. And if you guys have any questions after the video is over, please put those down below the video on the player. And that might mean you have to wait a couple of hours for that to appear, but don't put them on the right here because we lose that chat. Put them below and we'll take a look at those and answer any questions we can. You get a hold of Rob. Or if you for email, Rob Peters at discjockeynews.com. That goes to him also, so you can get a hold of him one way. He's an easy man to find. Rob,
I'm not hard to miss.
You are an easy guy to find. We will see you in about 10 days down in Las Vegas.
10 days. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and I got some good content coming. So
sounds great. I'm looking forward to seeing you there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching tonight. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV, and Rob Peters from Rob Peters Entertainment. Good night.
Good night, everybody.